You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 174 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and I am with my soccer-loving friend, Jeff Gargis. Jeff, how's your day going?
I'm good. This is just 2 episodes in a row where you got me laughing right before you started, so then I'm laughing during your intro. I'm doing good. I'm excited. This was a great podcast episode. I'm excited about this one. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How's your day?
I am so glad that you're good. And yes, I also loved this episode. It was awesome. I am a huge Jake fan, and we will get to all that good stuff eventually. But we have some news, and I know that we might be announcing it to our podcast people for the first time, but this has been a secret that we've been keeping in, and you gave me permission before we start recording that I was allowed to talk about it. So give me permission again so we can talk about all this awesomeness.
I want to note, to make sure everyone's hearing what you're saying right now, is that you have to ask for permission, which means I'm the boss. Like, I just want to make sure that everyone's picking up on that. And you said that, not me. You just said it twice. Not only did you ask for permission, you just asked for permission again. So no, yeah. Can we talk about that? I'm excited. You can take it though. You can run with the excitement.
I'm asking for permission because I have built a reputation. I don't know how this happened, but people think I can't keep a secret. I don't know why.
I don't know if I knew that about you.
I think it started happening when I went in our private Facebook group live all the time. I would just share information constantly that no one was supposed to know.
I guess we're releasing that today.
I know. So I'm in our Sunday, we have our bi-weekly family check-ins every other Sunday. And literally they'll get me on a tangent and I'll just spill secrets of you email me and you're like, Ray, that wasn't supposed to launch for another 4 days. I'm like, oh, sorry. The Facebook group knows. So
that's just how we get ahead on things, right?
It's true. It's totally true. So
well, this is okay. So you have permission. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm really excited about this one. So we have been doing a free webinar series that I know all of you have heard about. So I'm not going to tell you all that stuff, but essentially it was 6 weeks, 12 sessions, trying to support educators. It's gone extremely well and it's not over yet. So obviously if you want to go register for that free teacher webinar, that's over at teachbetter.com/webinar series. And I love that all those videos and the Q&As are housed in the Academy. What I'm even more excited about, though, is that we've had such a calling that our network has been saying they want grid method training because the grid method is a mastery framework that our team does a ton of training on. But most of the training we do, the district has to bring us in to provide. So the majority of the work the Teach Better team does, if you want to know how we stay afloat and, kind of last the way we've lasted, is that districts bring us in and we partner with them for a multitude of years to implement mastery learning. And the way that we do this is I could literally talk on this forever, but for educators that are not a part of those districts, we kind of support them in small little areas, but I don't feel like we ever fully get to immerse them and to fully answer all their questions. And it kills me sometimes, not being able to support teachers in the way that truly we strive to do constantly. So we are doing, drum roll please, a grid method webinar series. We are doing 4 weeks, twice a week, where we are not only doing our workshop training, but we are also going to do our debrief Q&A, which I knew was going to be beneficial, but our free webinar series has just modeled how amazing it is to open it up to hundreds of teachers and just be able to answer their questions and show examples live because it's so authentic. I feel like we finally get to get people what they need, and I cannot wait until this launches in June. It's going to be a full June webinar series.
Yeah, I think what's really going to be exciting is the second part, the Q&A part session. We'll be able to have people come on to the camera with Chad or you or both and share, this is a grant I've been working on. This is a thought I have, and we're going to be able to analyze it, and everyone's going to get that value of watching us go through those step by step, because that's one of the things that's my favorite thing in the world is when we get to go to workshops and we're working with teachers and we get to sit in and go, okay, tell me about these awesome things you have in your grid. Okay, let's make sure that they align properly to standards. Let's make sure that they're built on DOK and all these things. So that's the exciting part. I think is going to be so much value coming out
Well,
of that.
and we hear all the time, right? We have a free course, we have a full workshop at teachbetteracademy.com. You can get the grid method training, especially if you're part of our academy membership. It's $9. You can get the full training and the workbook. But that doesn't get you like the strategic and personalized feedback. And I
Yeah.
know that's what teachers need because I've seen it have amazing success. But I won't lie, I feel like people, they get all the way to the point that they're working, and then they never reach out to get feedback on their grids. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that that's such a valuable piece for us to make sure that you not only find success with students, but you find success quickly, because this is hard enough. You got to create like your team around you supporting you throughout this process. And I am so thrilled that we're able to offer this. We've never been able to offer this before. And don't tell Chad I said this, but holy cow, I've seen him do this type of training and he's going to kill it. And I don't think he knows that. I don't want to like make his head too big because, you know, he is the grid method creator. I mean, he knows he's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I am excited to be a part of this webinar series because I am so confident that not only the value is going to be there, but truly the collaboration that's going to come. I'm just, ooh, can you tell I'm excited? Sorry.
Yeah, but rightfully so. Yeah, I'm super pumped about that. Where do I go to get that, Ray? Where should I go to register? How do I get in? How does this work?
I know. Okay, so here's how it's
Tell
going to
me
work.
more.
I'll tell you more. Go to teachbetter.com/grid webinar. And when you go there, it costs $75 to be able to register. And when you register, you not only get the 8 sessions over 4 weeks, but even if you can't join us during the live webinar or during a live debrief Q&A, everything's recorded and it will all be stored in the academy. So you have lifetime access to not only the course materials, but also lifetime access to the conversation that we're going to be having with the educators that are a part of it. So I think it's going to be such a huge success, and I cannot wait for this to be a part of our June opportunities that we get to offer teachers.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, some of the resources that you mentioned, that like that's going to include, you know, example grids and
Workbooks.
workbook and what am I looking for? Templates and downloadable
Yes.
templates to start your grids and things like that. So you're getting a ton. This is, it's the pricing is unheard of as far as what we've done in the past. So I'm pretty pumped about it. This is really exciting. So good stuff.
I'm really excited. Chad's going to kill it. And this is only a taste of what we continue to hope to do, because you all have been telling us how much you appreciate kind of this personalized training. And we want to make sure that we offer that as often as possible. I think this is the perfect Teach Better way to kick it off. And for those of you who are trying to support your students through remote learning or distance learning, e-learning, however you're structuring it, no matter what happens in August, you will have the tools to support your students. Yes. And that was so emphasized when I was working with Chad earlier today. I want to make sure our podcast listeners hear it. These will give you not only the structure to create rigorous content, but also the management, so we can finally start getting a hold of this really challenging situation we're in, and hopefully kicking off August with the right just story for our students. I'm so stoked. So thanks for letting me talk on and on about this. I'm excited.
Teachbetter.com/grid webinar for all of that. Let's talk about this episode. Jake Kelfer was our guest. So Jake is a lifestyle entrepreneur. He's a life elevator. He's a coach, and he's a best-selling author. He's got 2 books that are phenomenal: Elevate Beyond and Elevate Your Network. This dude, I've heard him be called a high-energy motivational speaker, and I think that pretty much sums up him very, very well. Dude's super passionate, incredible value, I think, out of this. He's also the founder of something called the Professional Basketball Combine. If you don't know what this is a secondary basketball combine where folks that don't necessarily get invited to the national one can go and get their shot. And they've helped more than 70 NBA draft prospects sign their first contract, which is super cool. So this guy's been featured in Forbes, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBC Sports, USA Today, Bleacher Report, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And I was so pumped to have him on, and we got exactly what you and I were talking about and hoping to get out of this guy. Just a lot of I think think about things differently, turning your perspective, getting pumped up. Like this is gonna jazz you up. This is gonna fuel you up for the day, for the week, for the month. It's gonna get you going. I'm super pumped for it, as you can tell. Yeah. This is my kind of dude right here. Ray, anything to add, or do you just want me to like yell real quick?
I do want to give a warning. We've shared a lot of energy so far. It's about to go up by 10. So if you're like
Yeah,
trying to go to bed within the next hour or so, listen
don't
to
do it.
this tomorrow. There's far too much energy.
This is a great morning podcast. So if you're on
Morning
a run or
podcast.
something like that, if you're working out right now, you're good. This is good.
Yeah.
You're good to go. So let's get into there. This is episode 174 with Jake Kelfer.
Hey guys, we'll get right back to the episode, but really quick, I want to highlight the webinar series that the Teach Better team is offering over at teachbetter.com/webinar series. And did I mention, y'all, it's free. So you can join myself, Chad Urshowski, Mandy Freilich, Kevin Butler, and Jennifer and Hans Apple as we dive into educator mental health, remote learning essentials, the grid method, engagement, and so many other elements that can support you to be better at a distance. And you can go register right now at teachbetter.com/webinar series. All right, I've told you enough information. Let's get back to this awesome episode.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Jake Kelfer. And Jake, it's awesome to have you on the show. Looking forward to kind of diving into your head and learn about you and your story and what you do. A little bit unique guest for what we have, but I love your message. I love what you've done. I'm really interested in kind of learning from you today. So before we get too far into that, though, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good, and Jeff and Ray, it's a great pleasure to be here. I know our pre-podcast talk was great, so I can't wait to dive in and jump in and hopefully share some elevation with y'all.
We're going to have so much fun, Jake. I can already tell. And I want to make sure our listeners kind of hear all about the amazing things you're doing. Again, I really think this is going to be such a special episode. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
100%. I'll dive right into it. So I'm a author and motivational speaker and sports entrepreneur. So basically, I have written 2 books. One is called Elevate Beyond, which is all about how to stand out in the job market and discover your passion. So really dedicated to the high school, college, recent grad market. And then I also have a book called Elevate Your Network, which is all about how to build extraordinary relationships in life and business. And then in terms of my motivational talking, I do a lot of work with educators, students across the country, as well as businesses and entrepreneurs and leaders. So that's kind of my realm of the education world. And then I also actually created a secondary NBA draft combine, which we've helped over 70 prospects turn their dreams of playing professional basketball into their reality, and we help them sign their first contract. So it's kind of a little all over the board, but I've combined, some of my biggest passions of education, athletics, and helping other people achieve their dreams all into one career. So it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm excited for everything to come and to dive deeper with you guys.
There's so much that I want to dive into.
I know, are you going to be able to handle this episode, Jeff Gargas? I'm a little concerned for you.
No, I don't know. Like, it's really cool. I want to learn. So one thing I want to go right to, as you were saying that, I'm like, I got to jump on this. So we talk about like Elevate Beyond, and you're talking about standing out in a job market, discovering your passion, becoming your own person. A lot of folks listening are working with kids who are either getting into high school, they have to start thinking about what kind of person they're going to be and stuff, or they're already in high school, they're working with juniors, seniors who are now getting ready to, what am I doing after I graduate? How am I preparing myself? I'd love to just sort of hear you kind of riff on like what comes out of that book of like, how do I do this? So from a teacher's lens, how do I take sort of the message from Elevate Beyond, and how do I instill that into my students as they're working through and getting ready to go on to the next phase of their life?
Great, Jeff. Great question. I think that with Elevate Beyond, and I think from a teacher's perspective, one of the things that we always have to kind of remember here is that our students don't know what they don't know. And our job when we're working with different educators, right, and students is to guide them to the best path that's going to give them the best chance of having their ultimate definition of success. So the first thing that I always talk about with any person at any age group is really identifying what is success to you. And a lot of times our students have never thought about it in that frame of reference. And the reason for that is because, we're trained to go to school, to go to college, to get a good job, and then live our life that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I also think that we're living in a time now where students are more interested in trying new things, are more interested in taking a different path than what was available 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I think technology's played a big role in that. And so what we really try to focus on in Elevate Beyond is a millennial and younger viewpoint of my experiences going through the job market, how to do great interview skills, how to network with potential job prospects and build your network, how to build your resume so that people can look at it, and within 30 seconds, you can offer something great. And we break that down, especially for the high school students, of like, how can you use your club experience, your athletic experience, your student involvement, your extracurriculars, and how can you use that to actually start to build what will turn into your future resume? So all in all, with Elevate Beyond, I think it's really important for people to identify what it is that they really want and to actually ask themselves that question before just going down a random path just because we think it's what we're supposed to do.
So I want to see if I can have you. I'm going to pick out a piece of that and have you dive further into it. So let's talk specifically maybe our students that are student athletes. How do I take my athletic experience through high school and how do I use that to enhance my persona, enhance my resume, to flip that into if I don't plan on playing sports, for the rest of my life, how do I take that and flip that into making me a better prospect, and how do I stand out then?
Well, I think, and that's another great question, because here's the thing: student athletes possess a variety of skill sets, and not just their athletic component. But what they possess oftentimes is this ability to work with a team. They possess the ability to show that they have discipline, and they typically possess leadership and teamwork qualities. Now, all of those qualities are extraordinarily transferable into a variety of different careers. And so one of the things that I think is super important, especially with the overlap that I do with athletes and with students, is that everything that we do should be able to translate into the career that we want. And it's our job to figure out what are the specific skills that we have in any sport that we can then position into the right fit for the career that we're aspiring to have. So for example, right, if we're talking about a basketball player who maybe was the 15th guy on the bench, right, the last guy on the bench, but he persevered and overcame incredible adversity to get to that point. There's an extraordinary skill set that can be pulled out from that can then be used in a college application, or that can be used in a potential job application down the road. Take your best player, right? Take your team captain, right? Referencing the accolades, the achievements, team captain for 2 years, leading our team to a 24-6 record, right? Scoring a certain amount of points, assists, right? Something that you would never think of putting on a resume or a college application, but if you lead your team in assist, to me, that gives me a huge insight into the type of person that you are, right? And so I think that whatever it is in any sport or whatever it is, it's identifying what are the key skills, what are the key numbers, what are the key things that you can pull out that can really be turned into a translatable skill for the college or the job application that you're going for.
All right, we're about to get deep with Jeff here for a second, Jake. So I led on both my soccer team and my hockey team. I led the team in assists. What does that tell you about me?
Hey, Jeff, congratulations on that, by the way. That's
this was years and years ago, but
I'm proud of you. So look, if you're an assist-driven guy, I mean, look at, and I'm going to go back to basketball here just for a second here. I'm going to give a little analogy. When you look at Steve Nash, right? Steve Nash is a point guard. And for those of you that aren't big basketball people, listen to this. Steve Nash is a shorter point guard who is a 2-time MVP, amazing player, led the league in assists. Now, what that means if you are leading your team in assists is that you have tendencies to be unselfish. You have a tendency to believe in something greater than just yourself and individual accolades. You want the team to do better. You have what I call this we is greater than me mentality, because you understand this concept that as the assist leader, you want to see the team succeed more than just yourself. Because to be honest, the assist isn't the most sexy stat in the game, but it's the one that could make the biggest impact overall in the game. So for me, growing up, when I played basketball, I didn't care how many points I scored. I cared purely about the amount of assists that I have in relation to my turnovers, as well as the amount of wins that our team had. I wanted to be on a winning team. And that shows a lot about somebody's personality. And specifically, at the very root of it, somebody who leads their team in assists tends to, not always, there's always outliers to every situation, but they tend to have an ability to see the game, have great vision, right? They see the game from a strategic standpoint, and they tend to focus on the team over themselves. Those are just a few things that I pull out from people that are focused on assists in the game of basketball or hockey or soccer or whatever it may be.
What do you think, Ray? Is that accurate?
Well, I think that you actually don't do any work at all.
You couldn't give me just one, could you?
I can't. No, there's no way. I do have to tell you though, I was a little nervous when we went to a basketball analogy because I literally know nothing about basketball besides that there's an orange thing that you dribble. But I even understood this, and I am so in love with everything you're saying so far, Jake. I think this totally resonates with educators, and I'm just blown away right now. I think this is so cool.
I love it. So, all right. So, I'm interested in this one, Jake. One of the things that we always talk about, that I talk a lot about when we do on this podcast all the time, is talking about failures and challenges. I always say that I've been fortunate in my life to fail a lot because I've learned from all the failures. I do. I say it all the time.
Failure.
I say it a lot on that. So much. Shut up, Ray. Get out of here. But I've learned from it, and so often that I talk about, like, there's things that I messed up on, that I had failures that I fell on my face 10 years ago that I'll pull something from tomorrow that it'll just trigger a learning thing. And I love that. So I love hearing stories. Can you share a story about a time in your life that you've had a failure or a struggle or something you had to overcome? Sort of take us there with you. What happened? How did you overcome that? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Man, I mean, as you're saying that, I mean, there's countless times where I've made mistakes, whether it's with business or with relationships or being too ambitious or a variety of things. But the one that's probably been one of the most transformative for me in my life was when I first started my business. So I went to the University of Southern California, and to be honest, there's a lot of rich people there. And I grew up in a middle class family, and I never saw that type of money in my life before. I didn't even understand it, right? And basically what happened for me was, after I graduated and I worked for the Lakers, and then I branched off to start my own business. And the thing that caused me the biggest struggle in the beginning was this idea of comparison and basing my self-worth off the perceived value of what others were doing. So let me explain what I mean by that. Is when I was starting my business, because when you start a business, you're typically not making a ton of money. And when I started my business, I would look at Instagram. I would look at what other people were doing and basically say how successful they were by the pictures that they were posting. And it started to weigh on me because I couldn't afford at that time, starting my business, to go do all of the things. I couldn't go to Cancun with some of my friends. I couldn't do some of the things that other people appeared to be doing. And so it delayed my confidence. It delayed everything. But what I had to really do was understand that comparison is the thief of being able to be in a state of happiness. Comparison eliminates the opportunity for you to be present and appreciate the struggles and the joy of the journey. And so what I really have learned from that was, once I stopped comparing myself to others or basing some of my self-worth off what I thought others were doing, I was able to start turning around my life and growing my business. And that, to me, has been one of the most pivotal experiences that I've gone through, because it was hard. And as an athlete, like we've talked about this, right? Like, I have this winner's mentality, and I always want to win, win, win. But at a certain point, the cost of devaluing what I believe in as a human, just to get to a winning standpoint, wasn't going to work for me at that point in my life. So I really had to figure out and dig deep. What are the things that are most important to me? Who are the people that I can impact most directly? And the money situation is not how I compare myself to. And so I focus on healthy competition rather than negative comparison.
Oh, so good. So important. I have to know though, like, if I'm an educator and I want to translate that into my classroom, what would be, I mean, I know I'm like going out of order for questions, but like, what's your advice to like share that message with students? Because I'm just thinking of my own, I mean, I'm being totally selfish. My own classroom, I have 156 graders. How do I ensure that they fully understand that and like really take it to heart so that they can be impacted?
So I that's an unbelievable question. I think it's something that's so important, right? Especially with some of our younger students, because one of the things that we're seeing is that more and more students are spending more and more time on social media, right? Everybody, like, I didn't even have a phone until I graduated 6th grade. And now we're seeing kids at 6 years old have their own iPads, right? And it's just a different world. And so one of the things that I say to all educators is, by starting your day off with some skills that are completely unrelated to the traditional school curriculum. And I'm not dogging the school curriculum, but what I'm saying is that I think the first 3 minutes, the first 5 minutes of a class, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, you decide based off what works within the curriculum that you guys teach so well. and you take, hey, maybe Monday's Motivation Monday. And you have every student write down what are 3 things they're grateful for. Gratitude is single-handedly one of the best practices that we can have to focus on future happiness. Number 2, you can have what I call in-class interviews, student to student, peer to peer. You ask a hilarious would you rather question. You ask a random question about a world event or just something completely random for the students, and they actually interview each other. And every day they switch to a different student. So now you're building relationships with people who might not have necessarily wanted to talk to each other, or maybe they're finding value in somebody else that they didn't initially think they would connect with. And now you're starting to build the skills that will transfer into the playground, that will transfer into the effort they put in, which will transfer in the long-term effect of them being more appreciative for the journey rather than just the end result or the grade that they're seeking. And I think that that's such a big transformation, and something that when I was in 5th grade, we always used to do for my teacher. Every Friday would be Dance Friday. And she would find a way to tie in dancing to a lesson. But the most important thing was we got to be free at school. We got to break out of the prison that we felt as 5th graders. And instead of writing every day, we got to dance and let out our creativity. And so I'm a big proponent in really focusing on gratitude or having student interaction and having deep thoughts or just writing down a bunch of different things or writing gratitude letters or making little assignments that are so much bigger than just the student in themselves, but rather bigger in the sense of being able to create their future self while in that present moment.
I love that. That's such good advice and a note there. I want to shift now to your other book is Elevate Your Network, 25 Keys to Build an Extraordinary Relationships in Life and Business. And anyone who knows me knows that like building relationships is the key to everything that I've done in my life. And I'm such a big proponent of that. So I'm wondering, could you maybe pull like 2 or 3 of those keys that you talk about in that book and share those with us? It'd be really interesting if we could tie it into, and I'm looking from a lens of like, what can we instill in our kids as they are getting close to going on to that next part of their life so they can really take advantage of where they're going. I always look at like college, one of the best pieces and biggest advantages you can take in college is to build those relationships and build your network there. So would you mind sharing maybe 2 or 3 of the keys that you talk about in that book? And then I think we're going to do a giveaway. So that's
cool, yeah, absolutely. I'll give a little teaser of what could come.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Look, I'll give a couple of Kelf keys. And the first one is be a good listener. And this is one of those skills that we don't tend to think about when we think about networking or connecting or building relationships. But being a good listener is one of the most vital pieces to showing somebody that you care. Because by being a good listener, you start to develop trust. And when you start to develop trust, you start to form a deeper relationship than just a surface level. Now, I don't know about you, but have you ever had, and for anyone that's listening to this, have you ever had somebody that consistently asks you questions and genuinely listens and then follows up with questions based off the actual content that you're saying? Now, if you have, I guarantee you that person is somebody that you really enjoy being around because they make you feel so great. So the first key that I want to share is to be a good listener. You know, there's a quote that I love, and I might butcher it, but essentially it's we have 2 ears in one mouth for a reason, right? You double listening as you do for speaking. And this has been something, especially for me, as you guys can tell, a very energetic extrovert, that listening has been so key to understanding the needs of students, the needs of educators, the needs of entrepreneurs, the needs of my customers. And that's been a huge reason I've been able to grow and build the relationships that last so much longer than just a one-time interaction. And that's what we're trying to do here with relationships, is create a meaningful, long-lasting, mutually beneficial experience for everybody that leads to more of these relationships. So that's one. The second one that I really want to talk about here is, and it's Kelf key number 5, which is people are people, love is love, compassion is compassion. And what this means is that at the end of the day, every single person, human being, has similar desires. We all want to be loved. We all want to be heard. We all want to feel that we matter. We all want to feel that we belong. We all want to feel valued and complimented. And so it's our job to not only understand that we want to have these things, that we want to feel a certain way, but it's our job to understand that how we act and the words that we say and the body language that we carry can give somebody that feeling in a moment's time. And that can happen by simply smiling at somebody. It can happen by, when we're out of Corona, giving somebody a fist bump, right? It can happen by giving somebody a 3-second hug instead of a 1-second hug and leave. Now, obviously, you have to do that appropriately within boundaries. But the point is this, that we all have these desires, and it's our job to really understand how we make somebody else feel by the actions and the words that we say. Because we have the power with every single interaction to make a positive difference on that person, and that starts a ripple effect. And that's how we start this chain reaction that impacts the world. So those are two of my favorites. And then I'll do a third that encompasses everything in networking. And that's the simple truth that in the process of connecting with individuals, we have to be ourselves. There's no greater connector than the person who is self-aware of who they are and the person who is 100% authentic in their approach to reaching out and communicating with other people. So those are a few teasers that I wanted to share. And I hope that those are enough, and I'd be happy to dive deeper into them, but I hope that that's enough to kind of give a couple of those keys and the power that we can have as individual human beings on another through our relationships.
No, I love it, man. I appreciate diving in there. So let's, you are being super awesome, and we're going to give away one of each book. Is that what we're doing?
Heck yeah, we are.
What about Ray, I don't want to do too complicated. So Ray always gets mad when we do giveaways. My way of like what they have to do for it is always very complicated.
Go find a monkey, balance it on your head, spin around twice, and then tweet about it.
I'm going to keep it simple. Tweet out. You got to use hashtag Teach Better Talk and Teach Better, so we find it, and then make sure you all. I think what we can do is you can use the hashtag Elevate Beyond or hashtag Elevate Your Network to tell us which book you want, and then make sure you tag Jake as well. Jake, what's the handle?
It's at Jake Kelfer on all social media. It's at Jake Kelfer, JAKE, F like Frank, ER. So yeah, tag me in that.
So tag us both, and then hashtag which book you want to win. We're gonna pick someone randomly or for each one, and we'll get it sent out to you.
Yep, love that.
Ray, is that okay? Is that good enough? It's
really good. I just get nervous that people are going to forget the steps. So here's the deal, guys, because I get you and you know that I'm on your team. Pause the podcast right now and go do it, and then come back and listen to the rest of this, because my fear is that when you get to the end, you'll be like, what were the 15 steps that Jeff Gargan just told me to do? And I don't want you to forget. So do me a favor. Screenshot that you're listening to this and tag us. Tell us what book you want, and we'll make it happen. But take the time right now to screenshot that you are listening to Teach Better Talk and learning from Jake and all his awesome stories and insight he's shared so far. And then you can go win this book, because this is definitely one you're going to want to add to your collection.
All right, we're pausing. Okay, good. Now we're back. Good. Thanks for coming back.
Welcome back, listeners. We're thrilled you're
hopefully
here.
They hit unpause. All right, Jake, we're going to do the next 6 questions. Your goal is to answer each one of these in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
You bet.
All right. What is a tech tool that you cannot live without?
Evernote.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
A book that I'm reading right now, A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Kakandi. I think that's his name, as well as Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. Morning read and night read.
Who do we need to follow on either Twitter or Instagram today? You can give us up to 3 if you'd like.
At Character Strong, which is a great educational reference. That would be my number one educational reference. At Allenstein Jr., who is a peak performance coach. And make sure you follow you guys if they're not already.
I appreciate that. What's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
A great website or YouTube channel. Gosh, there's so many. I would recommend checking out, this is going to be a few of my speaker friends that have great resources. Kyle Wilkham at Action Packed Leadership, Scott Bakovich at Involved, and my friend Houston Kraft, again, at Character Strong.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Practicing gratitude, saying 3 things that you're thankful for every single morning is a incredible one piece of a routine.
Love it. And give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
I'm going to give you 2, and it's going to be under 15 seconds. Number 1 is from my mom. Live in the moment and enjoy the journey. Change my perspective, especially with that challenge that we had talked about earlier in this episode. 2, from my dad, writing my first book, he said, the only shortcut in life is to start now. Change the game plan of everything that I do, action focused. Those are my 2 pieces of advice.
Dude,
Solid.
I just knew that when we started this podcast and as we got into it that you were going to kill that last one. I knew the best piece of advice. Don't you feel like he set up? He had so many tidbits, so many takeaways the whole time. I'm like, number 6. He's gonna.
I was waiting for it too. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. We're gonna get you that Teach Better trophy. We're gonna send it your way.
Trophy's going to California, baby.
Yeah, it is LA.
Let's go.
So when you get it in the mail, just know, that's something you should keep forever. We only give it out to 174 other guests. It's really special.
Amazing. I'm gonna play the Rocky music, and we're just gonna go to town. I'm just gonna hold it up over my head and just start marching around Santa Monica.
I love it. Jake, we've had so much fun talking shop with you, learning from you. I can't wait for our listeners to get their hands on both of your books, as I'm confident they are so full of just more tactical takeaways that you provided here, and to connect with you on all social media so they can just continue to kind of live in this motivational space of really making our time with students purposeful, being a good listener, and everything in between. Would you mind kind of sharing with our listeners today how they can stay connected?
Of course. And first of all, thank you guys for all that you guys do. I mean, this has been incredible. You have some incredible questions, and I'm very blessed to be able to share my journey with you and everyone that's taken the time to listen. I really do appreciate that. The best way to connect with me is on social media at Jake Kelfer, or you can visit my website, jakekelfer.com. Always looking to come to new schools, work with new groups of educators, and really just, as I say, spread the elevation, to spread the joy and help people become the MVP of their own life. So you reach out to me. I'd love to talk. Always looking to connect and inspire with everybody. So that's the best way to connect with me.
And you can find all the links, all the resources, everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as all those links to make sure you can connect with Jake and continue this conversation with him. So make sure you check out the show notes over at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing people, and share this podcast with them. Jake, this was awesome, man. You did not disappoint. I love the energy of this episode. I think it's the passion that's in there, and this mindset of elevating everything, I think is really going to resonate with people and get people pumped up when they're listening. And that's what we're trying to do. So really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, and have a little bit of fun with us, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.